I think I weighed all of 100 pounds when I did it.
For a diet
At least, for a diet drink, yeah.
Back in the 1960s, these women ruled the big screen. They were the queens of Hollywood, gorgeous, talented, and magnetic. Whether they were lighting up the screen in glamorous gowns or holding their own next to the biggest male stars of the time, they had it all: beauty, brains, and that spark that made everyone stop and stare. Men adored them. Women wanted to be them. They had the perfect mix of style, sass, and star power. But time changes everything. You won't believe what they look like now. Some aged like fine wine, still turning heads even decades later. Others? Let's just say you might not recognize them if they walked right past you. From red carpets to real life, here's what these 60s icons look like today. Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews, born Julia Elizabeth Wells on October 1st, 1935, in Walton-on-Thames, Surrey, England, began life in a storm of secrets and struggles. Her mother, Barbara Ward Wells, was married to Edward Ted Wells, but Julie later learned that she was the result of an affair. She discovered the truth about her parentage in 1950, though she didn't share it with the public until her 2008 autobiography. World War II brought major changes to Julie's young life. Her parents divorced and remarried. Her mother to Ted Andrews, and her father to Winifred Birkhead. Julie moved in with her mother and new stepfather in London, where times were hard, the family was poor, and Julie remembered the war as a dark period. Her stepfather, though involved in the performing arts, was an alcoholic and at times abusive. Julie eventually put a lock on her bedroom door to protect herself. Despite the difficulties at home, Julie's talent began to shine. By 1945, she was performing with her mother and stepfather, singing at evening shows while standing on a beer crate to reach the microphone. At just 12 years old, she made her professional solo debut at the London Hippodrome. A year later, she performed at the Royal Variety Performance in front of King George VI, making her the youngest soloist to do so. Julie's talent quickly brought her to the world of radio and television. She performed regularly on BBC comedy shows and appeared in pantomimes in London's West End. At age 19, she made her Broadway debut in The Boyfriend. Her performance impressed many, and soon she was cast as Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady, a role that would define her early-stage career. Her success on Broadway caught the attention of Rodgers and Hammerstein, who wrote Cinderella just for her. The TV special aired in 1957 and reached over 100 million viewers. Soon after, Walt Disney offered her the role of Mary Poppins. Though pregnant at the time, Disney promised to wait. The film became the biggest hit in Disney's history, and Julie won an Academy Award for her performance. In 1965, she starred as Maria in The Sound of Music. Though she initially found the story overly sweet, the role became one of her most iconic. The film was a massive success, and Julie earned another Golden Globe and an Oscar nomination. She later said that playing Mary Poppins, Maria, and Eliza Doolittle was more than enough to fulfill her dreams. However, her journey took a difficult turn in the late 1990s. While performing in Victor Victoria on Broadway, Julie developed a vocal issue. A surgeon promised a simple fix, but the operation left her with permanent damage. Her clear, 4-octave singing voice was gone. She filed a lawsuit against the hospital and eventually reached a settlement. Despite the heartbreak, she worked hard to recover some of her speaking voice through therapy and further surgeries. Julie's personal life was filled with love and family. She married set designer Tony Walton in 1959 and had a daughter, Emma. They divorced in 1968. The following year, she married film director Blake Edwards. Together, they adopted 2 daughters from Vietnam and raised a blended family. They remained married until Blake's death in 2010. Even after losing her singing voice, Julie continued to share her talents. In 2020, she became the voice of Lady Whistledown in the hit Netflix series Bridgerton. Now living in Sag Harbor, New York, she enjoys being close to her daughter Emma, who co-founded the Bay Street Theater. Eva Marie Saint. In the world of old Hollywood, few stars shone as brightly or for as long as Eva Marie Saint. Now, 100 years old, the Oscar and Emmy-winning actress celebrated her centennial birthday on July 4th, 2024, surrounded by 4 generations of her family in Los Angeles. But even 100 candles can't outshine the legacy of a woman who ruled both the big and small screens with grace, beauty, and unforgettable talent. Born on July 4th, 1924, in Newark, New Jersey, to Quaker parents, Eva grew up far from the Hollywood spotlight. Her journey began in Del Mar, New York, where she graduated from Bethlehem Central High School in 1942. She was later inducted into the school's Hall of Fame in 2006. Her love for acting led her to Bowling Green State University, where she joined Delta Gamma sorority and starred in school plays. The campus now proudly has a theater named in her honor. After college, Saint started out humbly as an NBC page before landing her first major TV gig on Campus Hoopla in 1946. But making it in showbiz wasn't easy. In a 1949 Life magazine feature, she was described as a struggling actress, juggling small TV roles and barely scraping by in New York City. Still, she kept going, and Hollywood eventually took notice. By 1953, Saint had already won a Drama Critics Award for her Broadway role in The Trip to Bountiful. The following year, she made her big screen debut in On the Waterfront, playing opposite Marlon Brando. The performance won her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. And she accepted the award while 9 months pregnant. "I may have the baby right here," she joked on stage. 2 days later, she gave birth to her first child, Daryl Hayden. What followed was a career many only dream of. She worked with the biggest names in film history. She worked with stars like Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, Cary Grant, and directors like Elia Kazan and Fred Zinnemann. In 1959, Alfred Hitchcock shocked everyone by choosing her over dozens of other actresses for the femme fatale role in North by Northwest. She starred alongside Cary Grant, and Hitchcock personally helped transform her image, taking her shopping at Bergdorf Goodman and coaching her to lower her voice to sound sultrier. The film became a classic, and Saint's performance was praised as a perfect mix of mystery and charm. Critics called her the Helen Hayes of television, and she racked up Emmy nominations throughout the 1950s. In 1990, she finally won one for the miniseries People Like Us. She also had a memorable role on Frasier in 1999, playing Roz Doyle's mother. After stepping away from film for over a decade, she returned in Nothing in Common, 1986, playing Tom Hanks' mother in a role that once again reminded critics of her brilliance. And in 2006, she took on a surprising new part. Martha Kent, Superman's adoptive mother in Superman Returns, where she appeared alongside Brandon Routh in a digital Marlon Brando. But she didn't stop there. Younger fans know her as the voice of elderly Katara in the animated series The Legend of Korra, a sequel to Avatar, The Last Airbender. Through it all, Saint's love life was just as steady. She married producer and director Jeffrey Hayden in 1951. The couple had 2 children and stayed together for 65 years until Hayden's passing in 2016. From humble beginnings to a career that spanned nearly 70 years, Eva Marie Saint has done it all, and done it with class. At 100, she's not just a star from the past. She's a legend who still shines today. Ann-Margret. Ann-Margret is a 5-time Golden Globe Award winner, a Grammy-nominated singer, an acclaimed dancer, and one of the most captivating sex symbols of the 1960s. With an electrifying presence both on screen and on stage, she dazzled audiences for decades and even captured the heart of Elvis Presley himself. Born Ann-Margret Olsen on April 28, 1941, in the snowy Swedish village of Valsjöbyn, she was raised in a tiny town of lumberjacks and farmers near the Arctic Circle. Her father, Gustav, moved to the U.S. before World War II, but returned to Sweden to marry her mother, Anna. After the war, Gustav left for America once again, and in 1946, Ann-Margret and her mother joined him. By 1949, she had become a naturalized U.S. citizen and was already showing promise as a performer. She took dance lessons at the Marjorie Young School of Dance, where her natural grace stood out immediately. Her mother supported her ambitions wholeheartedly, even hand-sewing her costumes. A born performer, young Ann-Margret appeared on popular shows like Don McNeil's Breakfast Club and Ted Mack's Amateur Hour. While attending New Trier High School, alma mater to stars like Charlton Heston and Rock Hudson, she sharpened her craft in school productions and later joined a singing group, the Subtle Tones. The group played the Dunes Hotel in Las Vegas, sharing a bill with legends like Tony Bennett. One night, comedic icon George Burns saw her perform and was so impressed, he invited her to join his holiday show. Variety gushed, "George Burns has a gold mine in Ann-Margret." When she moved to Hollywood, she dropped her last name to protect her parents from any scandalous press. She signed with RCA Victor in 1961, releasing her debut album, And Here She Is, Ann-Marg. Her sultry, throaty, mild voice earned her comparisons to Elvis, so much so that RCA leaned into the likeness by having her cover Heartbreak Hotel. Her hit, I Just Don't Understand, broke into the Billboard Top 40 in 1961 and was later covered by the Beatles. The same year, she was nominated for a Grammy as Best New Artist. Ann-Margret's star continued to rise, but it was her chemistry with Elvis Presley in Viva Las Vegas that set the screen and rumor mill on fire. The two were romantically linked, adding fuel to her female Elvis persona. Her life wasn't just glitter and glam, though. In her 1994 autobiography, Ann-Margret, My Story, she opened up about her battle with alcoholism and her road to recovery. In the 1970s, she balanced musical performances with gritty, dramatic roles that challenged her bombshell image. She even found success in the disco era, with Love Rush climbing the dance charts in 1979. Decades later, she returned to her roots in gospel, releasing God is Love, The Gospel Sessions in 2001, a project that earned her Grammy and Dove Award nominations 40 years after her first Grammy nod. In 2023, at the age of 82, Ann-Margret proved she still had the spark by releasing Born to Be Wild, an album of covers featuring collaborations with rock legends like Pete Townshend and country staples like the Oak Ridge Boys. Ann-Margret was married to actor and manager Roger Smith for 50 years, from 1967 until his death in 2017. She became a loving stepmother to his 3 children. Before that, she had high-profile romances with Eddie Fisher, was briefly engaged to Burt Sugarman, and, of course, shared a fiery fling with the king of rock and roll, Sophia Loren. Sophia Loren, born Sofia Costanza Brigida Villani, Ciccolone. On September 20, 1934, in Rome, Italy, rose from a troubled childhood to become one of cinema's most enduring icons. Her mother, Romilda of Villani, was a piano teacher and aspiring actress, while her father, Riccardo Ciccolone Murillo, was a failed engineer who refused to marry Romilda or acknowledge their children, leaving the family in poverty. Loren grew up in Pozzuoli, near Naples, where her family endured the harsh realities of World War II, including frequent Allied bombings. During one such raid, she was struck by shrapnel in the chin. After the war, her grandmother opened a makeshift pub in their living room to make ends meet, with Romilda playing piano, Loren's sister Maria singing, and Sophia herself waiting tables and washing dishes. The establishment became popular among American GIs stationed nearby. At 15, Loren entered the Miss Italia 1950 beauty pageant as Sophia Lazzaro and won the title of Miss Elegance. This marked the beginning of her film career, which started with minor roles and uncredited parts. She studied at the Centro Sperimentale di Cinematografia, Italy's national film school, and made an appearance in the 1951 Hollywood epic Quo Vadis. Her stage name was later changed to Sophia Loren by producer Carlo Ponti, inspired by Swedish actress Marta Torén. Her breakthrough came with Aida, followed by a string of successful films including The Gold of Naples and Too Bad She's Bad, where she first starred opposite Marcello Mastroianni, beginning a lifelong screen partnership. By the late 1950s, she had signed a 5-film deal with Paramount Pictures, starring in films like Desire Under the Elms, Houseboat with Cary Grant, and Heller in Pink Tights. In 1960, Loren defied expectations by taking the lead in Two Women, a wartime drama directed by Vittorio De Sica. Originally cast as the daughter, she fought for and won the mother's role. Her performance earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress, making her the first to win the honor for a non-English-speaking role. Loren continued her rise in Hollywood and Europe, appearing in El Cid, The Millionaires, It Started in Naples, Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow, and A Countess from Hong Kong, Charlie Chaplin's final film. She earned a second Oscar nomination for Marriage Italian Style in 1965. Her personal life was as dramatic as her film roles. She met Carlo Ponti in 1950, and though their initial 1957 marriage was annulled to avoid bigamy charges, they officially wed in 1966, after becoming French citizens. They remained married until Ponti's death in 2007. The couple had 2 sons, Carlo Ponti Jr., a conductor, and Eduardo Ponti, a director. Loren is also the godmother of Drew Barrymore. In her later years, Loren remained active and celebrated. She returned to Miss Italia as a judge and guest of honor and appeared in BBC's Desert Island Discs in 2021. In 2023, she underwent emergency surgery after a fall at her home in Switzerland, but recovered. Today, Sophia Loren is alive and still kicking, a living legend. Tippi Hedren. Tippi Hedren, born Natalie K. Hedren on January 19, 1930, in New Ulm, Minnesota, is best known as the last Hitchcock blonde. She was discovered by legendary director Alfred Hitchcock after he saw her in a commercial for a diet drink called Sago. Her parents, Bernard Carl and Dorothea Henrietta Hedren, moved the family to Morningside, Minnesota, when Tippi was 4. She spent most of her childhood there, attending Morningside School and later West High School in Minneapolis. Her heritage is a blend of Swedish, German, and Norwegian roots. Despite her eventual fame, her early years were simple, and her age was often misreported. Many believed she was born in 1935, but she later confirmed 1930 as her true birth year. At age 20, Tippi took a bold step and moved to New York City to pursue modeling. She joined the Eileen Ford agency and quickly became a top model, gracing the covers of magazines like Life, Glamour, and the Saturday Evening Post. In 1952, she married actor Peter Griffith, and they had a daughter, Melanie Griffith, who would also go on to become a well-known actress. The couple divorced in 1961, and Hedren returned to California with her daughter, hoping to continue her modeling career, but it wasn't easy. Everything changed in October 1961 when a call from her agent informed her that a major producer wanted to meet her. That producer turned out to be Alfred Hitchcock, who had spotted her in a Sago commercial on the Today Show. Hedren signed a 7-year contract with him, unaware that he was considering her for the lead role in his next major film. Though she had no acting experience, Hitchcock believed in her potential. He put her through an intense 2-day screen test, costing $25,000, where she acted scenes from his previous films alongside Martin Balsam. Her performance impressed the director, and he cast her as the lead in The Birds, 1963, her official screen debut. Hitchcock personally coached her throughout the filming, involving her in every aspect of the production. Her performance received strong praise, and Universal executives who were initially skeptical were won over. Hitchcock even compared her to Grace Kelly. Following the success of The Birds, Hitchcock cast her again in Marnie, a psychological drama. Hedren considered this her favorite role due to the emotional complexity of the character. However, tensions grew between them. In later interviews, Hedren revealed that Hitchcock became possessive and demanding. Their professional relationship ended after Marnie. In 2012, their troubled relationship was portrayed in the HBO film The Girl, with Sienna Miller playing Hedren and Toby Jones as Hitchcock. Reflecting on the film, Hedren admitted she had mixed feelings but was glad her story was told. Hedren's personal life was equally eventful. After divorcing Peter Griffith, she married her agent, Noel Marshall, in 1964, who later produced her film Roar. The marriage ended in 1982 amid serious personal conflicts. She married Luis Barranquilla in 1985, but the marriage ended in 1992 due to his alcoholism. She was later engaged to veterinarian Martin Dennis until their breakup in 2008. Through her daughter Melanie, Hedren is the grandmother of actress Dakota Johnson. Outside of film, Hedren is known for her love of animals, especially big cats, and for being a pescatarian. Sadly, in February 2024, it was reported that Tippi Hedren is suffering from dementia. Despite the challenges, she remains a remarkable figure in film history. Shirley MacLaine. From Broadway stages to Hollywood screens, from spiritual pilgrimages to UFO sightings, Shirley MacLaine's life is nothing short of extraordinary. With a career spanning nearly 7 decades, she's not just a celebrated actress but also a dancer, writer, activist, and spiritual explorer. Her story is a whirlwind of ambition, rebellion, and a fearless curiosity about the world and beyond. Born in Virginia, MacLaine started dancing at age 3 and trained at the Washington School of Ballet. Her height meant she was often cast in boys' roles, but that didn't slow her down. In one childhood performance of Cinderella, she broke her ankle before going on stage. Rather than sit out, she tied her ribbons tighter and danced anyway. That early grit would become a theme throughout her life. After graduating high school, she moved to New York City, where she joined the chorus of Oklahoma and made her Broadway debut in Me and Juliet. She later understudied Carol Haney in The Pajama Game. When Haney got injured, MacLaine stepped into the spotlight. That same night, comedy legend Jerry Lewis and film producer Hal Wallace were in the audience. They saw something special, and soon she had a Paramount contract in hand. MacLaine made her film debut in Alfred Hitchcock's The Trouble with Harry in 1955 and won a Golden Globe for it. Over the years, she starred in classics like Can-Can, The Apartment, Irma la Douce, and The Turning Point. Though she was nominated multiple times for an Academy Award, it wasn't until 1984 that she won for Terms of Endearment. Her acceptance speech? Pure MacLaine. I'm going to cry because this show has been as long as my career. But Shirley MacLaine's life off-screen is just as dramatic. She took on the studio system in a bold lawsuit against producer Hal Wallace in 1959, helping to bring down the old Hollywood contract model. In 1966, she sued 20th Century Fox for breaching her contract, a case that's now taught in law schools. Her personal life has been equally unconventional. She married businessman Steve Parker in 1954. and they had a daughter, Sachi. Later, MacLaine revealed their marriage was open. She also spoke openly about romances with powerful men like Lord Mountbatten and Australian politician Andrew Peacock. But not all relationships were smooth. She famously clashed with co-stars like Anthony Hopkins and Deborah Winger. MacLaine has always embraced the mystical side of life. She claims to have had past lives, including one in Atlantis, and believes she was once the brother of a 35,000-year-old spirit named Ramtha. Her books, Out on a Limb and Dancing in the Light, explore her spiritual journeys, including walking the 500-mile way of St. James and practicing transcendental meditation. She's even spoken of witnessing UFOs at her ranch in New Mexico and remembers the 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO incident. Now in her 90s, Shirley MacLaine is still working, still dancing to her own beat, and still exploring the mysteries of life. Whether on Earth, on screen, or in the stars, she remains one of Hollywood's most fascinating, fearless, and enduring legends. Joanne Woodward. Joanne Woodward was born Joanne Gignilliat Trimier Woodward on February 27, 1930, in Thomasville, Georgia. Her striking middle names, Gignilliat Trimier, reflect her Huguenot heritage, an early sign that she was destined to stand out. Raised by her mother, Eleanor, and father, Wade Woodward Sr., Joanne was named after screen legend Joan Crawford, which perhaps explains the spark of Hollywood already kindling in her. Her mother's love for movies proved infectious, and it wasn't long before young Joanne had dreams of her own. A pivotal moment came at just 9 years old when she attended the Atlanta premiere of Gone with the Wind. Amidst the glitz and star-studded excitement, little Joanne managed to scramble into the parade of celebrities and found herself sitting on the lap of none other than Laurence Olivier. Decades later, while rehearsing with Olivier for a 1977 television production of Comeback, Little Sheba, she recounted the story, and to her amazement, he remembered. After living in Thomasville, her family moved to Blakely, and then Thomaston, before settling in Marietta, Georgia. She attended Marietta High School, where she cultivated a passion for performance that would become her life's calling. A longtime supporter of Marietta High and the city's historic Strand Theater, Woodward has always honored her roots. Her family's final relocation during her teens brought her to Greenville, South Carolina, where she graduated from Greenville High School and began performing at the local Little Theater. Determined to pursue acting professionally, Woodward enrolled at Louisiana State University to study drama and joined the Chi Omega sorority. But her ambitions were larger than any classroom could contain, so she moved to New York City to chase the stage. There, she honed her craft at the prestigious Actors Studio and studied under legendary teacher Sanford Meisner at the neighborhood playhouse. Her screen career began modestly in 1952, with a television appearance in Robert Montgomery Presents. She soon landed a spot as an understudy in the Broadway production of Picnic in 1953, where fate introduced her to Paul Newman, then a married man, and not yet the Hollywood icon he would become. Their connection was instantaneous, but it would take several years before they would become a couple. Joanne made her film debut in Count 3 and Pray, playing a spirited orphan in a post-Civil War Western. Signed by 20th Century Fox in 1956, she quickly impressed with her versatility. In A Kiss Before Dying, she held her own opposite Robert Wagner in a chilling thriller. But it was her 1957 role in The Three Faces of Eve that made Hollywood sit up and pay attention. Portraying a woman with multiple personalities, Woodward delivered a performance so masterful, she earned the Academy Award for Best Actress, while wearing a dress she had sewn herself. From that point forward, Woodward's career was unstoppable. She starred in No Down Payment and The Sound and the Fury, reuniting with director Martin Ritt for the latter. Her presence was not just felt on the big screen. She earned acclaim on television as well, winning Emmy Awards for her performances in See How She Runs and Do You Remember Love, and later as a producer for Broadway's Dreamers, the legacy of the group theater. Her personal life was just as captivating. She married Paul Newman on January 29, 1958, shortly after his divorce from his first wife. Just 2 months later, she walked away with an Oscar. The duo became one of Hollywood's most beloved power couples, starring in a string of films together, including The Long Hot Summer, 1958, Rally Round the Flag Boys, 1958, From the Terrace, 1960, Paris Blues, 1961, and A New Kind of Love, 1963. Despite her fame, Woodward often prioritized family over film, a choice she felt enriched her personal life at the cost of her career. As the years passed, Woodward evolved into a director and producer, becoming the artistic director of the Westport Country Playhouse from 2001 to 2005. She returned to work with Newman in the 2005 miniseries Empire Falls, their final screen appearance together. That same year, she executive produced Our Town, which earned Newman an Emmy nod. Woodward's later years were quieter, but no less impactful. In 2010, she starred in Change in the Wind, and in 2011, lent her voice to All the World. In 2022, her storied life and enduring love with Newman were chronicled in Ethan Hawke's moving HBO Max documentary, The Last Movie Stars. Following Newman's death in 2008, Woodward lived privately in Westport, Connecticut. After being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 2007, she moved to Santa Monica to be near her daughters. She made her final public appearance in 2013, leaving behind a legacy of grace, talent, and a love story for the ages. June Lockhart. June Lockhart's life in the spotlight began before most children learned to ride a bike. Born on June 25, 1925 in New York City to actor parents Jean and Kathleen Lockhart, it seemed almost destined that she would follow in their footsteps. She got her first taste of Hollywood at just 12 years old, appearing alongside her real-life parents in the 1938 film A Christmas Carol, where she played the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Bob Cratchit. That early start launched a career that would span more than 8 decades and make her a familiar face in countless American households. As a young actress, Lockhart scored roles in some of the era's most beloved classics, including Meet Me in St. Louis, Sergeant York, and The Yearling. These supporting parts helped her build a solid foundation in film. But her talents weren't limited to the screen. At just 8 years old, she had already appeared on Broadway in the Metropolitan Opera's production of Peter Ibbotson. Years later, she returned to the stage as Janet Blake in For Love or Money, a performance that earned her a standing ovation on opening night and a Tony Award, cementing her status as a star in her own right. While her theater work was impressive, it was television that turned Lockhart into a household name. From 1958 to 1964, she won hearts as Ruth Martin, the warm, wise, and endlessly patient mother on Lassie. Fans admired her portrayal of the all-American mom, and her chemistry with her on-screen husband, Hugh Riley, was so strong that she once joked she'd been married to him longer than any of her real-life husbands. Lockhart's success didn't stop there. In 1965, she traded the farmhouse for outer space, starring as Dr. Maureen Robinson in the cult favorite Lost in Space. For 3 seasons, she balanced high-stakes space drama with the maternal poise, helping guide her fictional family through galactic misadventures. The roles kept coming. In the late 1960s, Lockhart joined Petticoat Junction as Dr. Janet Craig, stepping in after the death of original star Bea Benaderet. She also took on a recurring role on General Hospital during the 1980s and 90s, further proving her versatility as an actress. Not content with just acting, she also lent her voice to Hanna-Barbera's animated series These Are the Days. co-hosted CBS's Tournament of Roses and Thanksgiving Day parades, and even appeared alongside her daughter, Ann Lockhart, in the cult film Troll and a guest spot on Magnum, P.I. Though she became known for playing wholesome mother figures, Lockhart's real life had its moments of drama. She was famously let go as co-host of the Miss USA pageant when it was revealed she was living with a much younger man. An eyebrow-raising move at the time, but one that showed she didn't always play by the rules her characters followed. In 1987, more than 2 decades after Lassie ended, Lockhart brought Ruth Martin back to life in a hilarious cameo on It's Garry Shandling's show, proving that she never lost her sense of humor or her connection to fans. Even in her later years, she stayed connected to entertainment. In 2014, she voiced a role in the video game Tesla Effect, and later lent her voice to Netflix's reboot of Lost in Space, bringing her journey full circle. Now, 99 years old, June Lockhart's legacy is one of grace, talent, and resilience. Through all her roles on screen, on stage, and in real life, she's remained grounded. Perhaps that's best summed up in her own words. When you're working, you're very professional and you do the work. You know your lines, you hit your marks, and your collar's clean. There is a wonderful world out there besides what you do on screen. For Lockhart, that world was just as rich and rewarding as her unforgettable performances. Which of these 60 stars was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.